All right, everybody. Welcome to the Selma City Council regular meeting at 6 p.m. in the Selma City Council chambers at 1710 Tucker Street in Selma, California, 93662. And we have our teleconference phone number is 301-715-8592. The webinar ID is 891-6864-5005. When on the phone, if you wish to address the council during the public comment part of the agenda, press star 9 to raise your hand, and we will select you from the meeting queue. Press star 6 to unmute and mute yourself. Members of the audience shall not engage in disorderly or boisterous conduct, including the utterance of threatening or abusive language or other acts which disturb, disrupt, or impede or otherwise render the orderly conduct of a city council meeting infeasible. Before we get started tonight with roll call, I would like to ask for a moment of silence, please, when we all bow our heads for Juanita Gallardo, a wonderful woman who was a pillar of our community, worked in the fields, raised a family, and was well respected and well loved by so many. Would you please bow your heads? Thank you for that moment of silence. And now we will move on to our pledge. We will move on to our invocation, and I will be filling in for the pastor tonight. And our invocation is, please bow your heads, everybody. We come before you with grateful hearts, thanking you for the opportunity to serve the people of Selma. We ask for your wisdom to guide the decisions made here tonight, that they may be marked by fairness, integrity, and a sincere desire to promote the well-being of every resident. Bless our city, strengthen our families, protect our first responders, teachers, healthcare workers, businesses, farmers, and all who contribute to the life of our community. Bring comfort to those who are struggling, healing to those who are ill, and hope to those facing uncertainty. Help us to treat one another with respect, even when we disagree, and remind us that by working together with humility and compassion, we can build a stronger future for generations to come. May all that is said and done this evening bring honor to you, Lord, and serve the common good. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please face the flag. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Avalos.
Here.
Councilmember Segarra.
Here.
Councilmember Trujillo.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Here.
Mayor Robertson.
Here. Potential conflicts of interest. Any council member has a potential conflict of interest may now identify the item and recuse themselves from discussing and voting on the matter. Agenda changes or deletions to better accommodate members of the public or inconvenience in the order of presentation. Items on the agenda may not be presented or acted on in the order listed. Additions to the agenda may be added only pursuant to California Government Code Section 54954.2b. City Attorney, do we have any agenda changes or deletions?
Nothing to add or to delete, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, City Attorney. With that, we are going to move on to oral communications and our first special presentation. We are honored to have our Congressman, Mr. Jim Costa, here for a presentation for the City of Selma. Welcome, Congressman. Good evening.
Good evening.
How about that?
Very good.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Try it again. To be here with you this evening for an opportunity to say thank you to each and every one of you, the city council, the mayor, your staff who work so hard every day to ensure that the services of the city of Selma are always first and foremost. Safety is obviously a primary responsibility of this city, and Selma has got, I think, a wonderful reputation and in this valley as being a wonderful community to live in, and you all make that happen. And so sometimes you don't get thank yous enough, but I'm here to say thank you. I'm also bearing a gift that is a reflection of our 250th anniversary as a nation. Um, I suspect, like many of you, I'm a history buff, but I've been spending a bit of time this last 6 months reading what happened took 250 years ago. It's really somewhat amazing that we would begin this experiment on representative democracy, the oldest in the world, the United States of America. And, we have a mission statement that, begins with our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, but that mission statement begins with we the people. We the people, it's all of us, in order to form a more perfect union. Well, that's aspirational. We're never going to be perfect. But what a wonderful goal that we should dedicate ourselves to trying to ensure that all Americans are able to have the opportunities that this country was founded upon. And so this flag is a ceremonial flag that I am giving to the city of Selma. And we may want to, I don't know what the appropriate protocol here is. I don't want to do anything improper, but it might make sense if the city council and the mayor come down and we can do the photo op if that's
Sure.
appropriate,
You guys
Mr.
wanna go
Mayor.
in front of the dais? You
Yeah.
ready to present that, Congressman?
Yeah, let me just close
Sure.
by saying that all of us, I think, feel very special about the country we live in and the opportunities that we have. A nation of immigrants, past and present. I think it's part of America's secret sauce. And, but we all have a story. Each and every one of you have a story. Your families have a story. We have a story. And we call it the American story. And it's part and parcel of the American dream. And so as we work hard to continue to provide opportunities for the people of Selma, the people of our valley, our state, and our nation, we remember that at the end of the day, whatever differences we have, and these are challenging times to be sure, historical times, a seminal moment in American and world history we're living in. Let us not ever forget the common values we have, beginning with our Constitution and our Bill of Rights, is far, far stronger than whatever differences we may have. And we're together. And at the end of the day, it's a team sport. Thank you. Thank each and every one of you for making Selma the wonderful place that it is, dedicating your careers to ensuring that that the next generation has the same kind of opportunities that we've had. So with that, I'd love to present this flag. I know you have a busy agenda. and
Come on up,
meeting.
Congressman. Everybody,
Okay.
let's go down and. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. You're always welcome here. Thank you so much, Congressman. We'll see you again real soon.
Thank you.
Safe travels. Thank you, Larry. Okay, now we're going to move on to oral communications. At this time, any member of the public may address the city council regarding any item on the regular meeting agenda over which the council has jurisdiction. No action or discussion will be taken on any item not on the agenda. Issues raised will be referred to the city manager for review. Members of the public are asked to limit their remarks to 3 minutes. Do we have anybody who would like to make an oral communication at this time?
Teresa Salas, 1701 Danube Avenue. I have a question. I don't know if finance director's not here today. On the check registers, each time it's posted in the agenda and I look and I never see any payments to the city attorney. I think I've seen maybe one or two in the year and a half that he's been our city attorney. And I would like
On
to
this-
know how much we're paying him and how much he's been paid. And I just question why it's never listed on the check register.
I believe there are 3 on this check register, city attorney. There are three bills. Got it. Thank you.
Well, good evening, Mayor Robertson, members of the Selma City Council, members of the City Administration. My name is Emer O'Brien. I believe this is the first time I've followed a congressman for public comments. I am running for the position of Fresno County Superintendent of Schools, and I know there are a lot of things on the ballot, but in my humble opinion, the future of education in our county is potentially one of the most important things that we should be considering. You may recognize my name. I was the district superintendent of Clovis Unified for a long time, and last year I served as interim superintendent in Central Unified. What has prompted me to run for the county superintendent of schools position is that even though we're the 4th largest economy in the world, we really do have an educational crisis here in Fresno County. For the last decade or more than a decade, we've had about 60% of our students not reading on grade level and about 70% of our students not proficient in math. The sad thing about those statistics is that it does not have to be that way. We know what the cause of that is. We know how to fix it. And as of this year, we have hundreds of millions of dollars in the budget dedicated to fixing the literacy problem that is not unique to Fresno County, but is definitely shared by many counties in California. One of the things that makes me unique in this race is that the job of the county superintendent is to support the 31 school district superintendents in our county. And a big part of that job is to provide the guidance and the support and somewhat the influence to district superintendents. And when one has been a district superintendent, it's a great advantage because you're mentoring and supporting those in a role that you yourself have held. It's very unique to be a district superintendent because if you think about Superintendent Gomes here in Selma and all the other superintendents, they are hired by a governing board and they are held accountable to that governing board. And for someone like me who's done that twice now, I'm very acutely aware of what it is to be held accountable. Those contracts that district superintendents hold are always written in favor of the local governing board, as it should be. But accountability is something I'm no stranger to. And I just ask that when it comes to the time, you very rarely get an opportunity to weigh in on the leadership in education. You don't get to decide on who your superintendent is or your high school principal, but you do get to weigh in on your county superintendent. And I really just want to ask everybody to do your homework like we ask the kids to on this. And I'd like to pass some flyers to whoever your clerk is. I'm
Thanks
not sure.
very
I'll just
much.
give it to
Right there.
Miriam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. O'Brien. Best
Sure.
of luck. Anybody else with oral communications at this time? Do we have anybody online or on the phone?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
Thank you. With that, we will move on to our consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar category are considered routine. The complete consent calendar will be enacted by one motion by roll call vote. For purposes of discussion, any council member may have an item removed from the consent calendar and made part of the regular agenda. The council can then approve the remainder of the consent calendar. Does council have an item or items they would like removed tonight from the consent calendar?
Yeah, I like, pull two,
Two?
I mean, on the consent calendar, actually, it's, yeah, two,
The check register?
check register.
Okay, I'd like to pull item 2-4. Sir, is there a motion to approve items 2-1 and 2-3?
So moved. Second it.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos,
Yes,
Councilmember Segarra,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Item 2-2.
oh, okay, the reason why I pulled two, I didn't catch it till later on tonight, is the item 80, 90, it's a check register 90, 11-8, and that's for $18,170. And that was for December 25th, December, mind you. And then we had another one,
What item? What item was that?
that was 90-11-8. That was for Costanza Associates.
Okay.
And also, that was for December. And also we have the item 90-120. That was for Costanza Associates again for 19,806. And that was for November. And then of 25. You know, and that was 25. And the other one was 11-9, again, Costanza for 30,000, and that was for October of 2025. And the reason why I just, in my head, I just pulled it, is what took so long did we miss a payroll on this one here? On
No,
the
they show up on your check register pretty fairly long after they're actually paid.
Okay,
And, you know, we've had some issues, or the city's had some issues with some of my billings, which we've all corrected. And
Also
Margie
correcting that.
is working diligently with the girl in my office who does these things. So those will all be caught up to at least June by the end of this week.
oh, okay, so we're doing cleanup operation, okay, in the bookkeeping department, okay. And also, I'm gonna question this 90-102, California Police Chief Association, this PD for 26 membership, CBA California, $883. Is that Chief? Is that for the membership of the officer?
Unfortunately, yes, Councilor Avalos.
Okay. And that's what is that yearly? Is that a yearly thing or?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then, okay. And then also, check register 990-119-7-90-199, engineering department, Horn Engineering, which it's actually rebate for $140,973.50. I guess it's a return there. Reimbursement, right? Cost of reimbursement on that one. And then another one, I was was the it's air conditioning, 90-11-7, cool air specialist, installed compressor. that was Public Works, 9,000? That was
City Hall.
9,600? Is that?
That's
AC?
correct. It was a compressor. It was when our server room went down, the cooling unit on the roof, the compressor burned out on that unit. And that's what they had to do to repair that unit.
Oh, I didn't realize compressors cost that much.
It's an old unit,
Oh, my
hard to
God.
find.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then another one is 9101 Caddy Rodent Service. It's for $8,225, but the reason why I pulled this is I know that it's a pest control annually or whatever, but there's no date on it.
So that's Caddyshack, and Caddyshack actually does our rodent abatement for all of the ground squirrel holes that are at all of the parks, especially at the sports are taking place. And so that bill includes every park in the city of Selma.
Now, is that
And we
month-
have a breakdown that I can provide for that if you'd require.
Yeah, I noticed there's no date. Is that a monthly service every 6 months or what is it?
No. The time of the year that we try to get them out right before the rodents get real bad, they try to get them early. So I believe we started this probably right after the rain around March or April of this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cause I was, the numbers kind of threw me off a little bit here.
Right.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Is that it?
That's it.
City Manager. 90175 7926 Quadnopf, otherwise known as QK. That the city has a contract with. Is that contract being terminated?
Yes, as of August 1st, it's
This will be the
terminated.
last bill that we see from QK.
That
regarding
would
this
probably
contract.
be for some July services, so you may see another one for, or that could have been for June services, because this was payment in July. So you may see one more on there, especially as they wrap up and get all the data and other stuff over to our staff.
It's my understanding that Precision Civil Engineering is handling what QK formerly handled as of August 1. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we'll continue to see charges from Precision. We won't see charges anymore from QK.
Probably one more.
Maybe one more
Perhaps one more.
for July. Thank you for that clarification. Anybody else? Anybody with a question? Public about the check register? Anybody online or on the phone with a comment?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve item 2.2?
I'll make a
of the
motion
check
to approve.
register? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos.
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera.
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Item 2.4, an update on progress of replacement of signs. Director Hahn,
Yes,
give us
sir.
a little update there.
Sure. As of the end of fiscal year 25-26, we completed districts 5 and 6. Currently in this fiscal budget, we're working on completing District 7, which we started at the end of the last fiscal budget. And then we'll be moving into District 10, actually. It will be our 8th district as noted in the staff report, but District 10 is actually the downtown, basically the bid district. So when we finish 7, we're going to start moving into the new downtown logoed signs, white with the blue lettering, and that'll be basically from West Front going through the entire downtown district. So that'll be our next phase that we'll be working on. You know, we have a lot of projects that we're working on right now, which I'll get to a lot of them during my department update, but we have had to pull Ivan out of the sign shop quite a bit to help with staff out in the field. So we were averaging between 2 and 2.5 months per district to get the signs printed and get them in place. But one of the other factors that's kind of impeding us a little bit is that a lot of our old street signs, I'm sure a lot of you have realized driving around town, you see them, they're actually in the dirt on the backside of the sidewalk. We now have a coring machine and we're putting them in the sidewalk per our city standards so that they're not in people's front yards. So there is some extra work going into the districts moving forward, because some of the districts that are left have quite a few signs that aren't in the right of way. They're in the right of way, but at the back of the walk. They're not per our new adopted city standards. So that's what we're installing them to the new city standards, and we're going to keep moving through that process.
So the current, the one in progress is District 7 right now.
That's correct.
Then you'll move on after, and that appears to be in the northeast area of Selma. After
Correct.
that, you'll move into the downtown, number 10.
That is correct.
For those signs, are there any such signs that are in the dirt right now downtown that you're going to need to
Not in the
reposition?
downtown area, so to speak, but District 7, we're finding quite a few of them. We'll address those as we get to them. The downtown district, for the most part, most of the signs in the downtown are in the sidewalk or they're up on our street, stop signals locations. So I don't think we're going to have an issue with that. We should be able to move through that pretty quickly.
Is there a reason you're not going sequentially, just how it?
The main reason why I chose to have the crew shift from District 7 to District 10 and get the downtown done is because we're getting ready to go out to construction for the Second Street beautification. We also just put in all of the new trash receptacles that we purchased with the bid committee. And I felt it appropriate to address the signage and try to kind of wrap that whole downtown area up, signs, the Second Street beautification, getting the parking lot on First and High Street done. So that was my decision to shift from District 7 to District 10.
I think it makes sense with the $3 million grant that's going to be implemented for Second Street, turning our Second Street, formerly an exit that wasn't much to write home about. Now it's going to look really nice and be a welcome mat for the city of Selma. And I think those downtown street signs are really going to delineate downtown as well and accentuate it.
I agree. I think that it was a good decision on council's part to go with that direction on the signs.
Thank you. I think
It's a quick, just a quick look at it, and you can recognize where you're at as far as being in the downtown district. So
I saw the cost, 22,750 or 22,250 for each phase. How long will it take to finish up 7 and get to number 10?
I don't want to be held to a date here, but again, we're moving through it, Mr. Mayor, as quickly as we can. We're being diligent about getting that done. My staff, I've expressed the importance of getting started on the downtown district because of the Second Street beautification project.
Do you think there's a possibility that it could be done in time for the band festival this year?
October, I don't know. I thought you maybe were going to say by the end of the year, and I would say that that's a good projection. By the band festival, you know, we can direct focus on the band festival route area because of the publicity and the factoring in of pictures and news media and all that. I think that we can definitely direct that district in a manner that would be appropriate to accommodate getting that section done before the band parade actually happens. I think that could happen.
Thank you for that.
Sure.
Any questions?
Okay, Director Hahn, I have a question. So for the District 8 and 9, which I'm looking at, you know, do you think that possibly those districts would be completed by next year?
I think absolutely, but by next year or by the end of next year?
Yeah, by end of 27.
I think absolutely that's very doable. By the end of 27, my projection is that we'll be done with all of the street name signs, that we'll be moving into actual speed limit signs, truck route signs, cautionary placards, that sort of stuff. So right now, just keep in mind, we're just doing street signs. But I can tell you also, and again, I'll get into my department report, we're doing other street sign work, like installing the crosswalk flashers, and we're trying to work on a lot of that stuff before school goes back in on Monday. So like we're down to crunch time right now, thermoplast striping, crack sealing, all of those things are also taking place. So again, it's pulling the resources out of the sign shop a little bit to try to get that work completed before school goes back. Because of the fact that there's no parking, not to get long-winded, it's really difficult to do any work around any of our Selma schools except the high school when school is in session. So we kind of plan, we get calendars from the school, and teacher in service days, those are days when we're trying to coordinate any work that we have in the school district areas because of parking. So.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody from the public with a question about the sign update? Anybody online or on the phone with a comment or question about the signs?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve item 2.4. Is there a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Seguera?
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra?
Yes.
Mayor Robertson?
Yes. Moving on to departmental reports. City Manager.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. Since we last met, I've been responding to questions received and issuing addendums for the RFPs for grant writing services and EIFD formation. The EIFD RFP submittal is due tomorrow and the grant writing RFP is due on the 13th. Staff and I have also been working on compiling information for the opportunity zones, called OZ 2.0 census tract submissions and submitted application forms. We have an item on this related about that tonight, so I'll discuss that further. I also attended the CVTC cohort 22 graduation ceremony. That's always a great event to attend. We conducted interviews for the admin analyst / deputy city clerk position. We have second interviews scheduled for tomorrow. The Selma Library update. We were informed that the contractors in the final stages of the work. A few additional items were identified that will need to be addressed before they can receive safe to stock clearance. And they stated that construction is anticipated to be completed mid-August. And then they will reassess an opening date from there. And then finally, our new community development director will be starting with us next Monday.
Oh, great.
Thank you.
Word to that. Thank you for your report. Parks and Community Services.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Few updates for you guys. To start off at the Arts Center, the SAC Teens The Prom Teen Edition runs its final weekend, featuring a post-show cabaret on Friday, August 7th, and Sticker Saturday for closing night on Saturday, August 8th. Tickets are available at selmaartcenter.com/tickets. CKP's How to Drain Your Dragon, the musical, opens this month and runs Thursday, August 27th through Sunday, September 6th. Tickets will be available to the public this month at selmaartcenter.com/youth. The rehearsals began last month for Selma Art Center's production of the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, featuring 2 casts and 17 total actors. Performances run September 25th through October 17th at the Selma Art Center. The Selma Art Center has been recognized as a collaborator on American Pachuco, The Legend of Luis Valdez, winner of 2026 Sundance Film Festival, screening at Maya Cinemas, August 7th through 13th. Selma Arts Council member Juan Luis Guzman, one of the first to direct the stage version of Zoot Suit in the Central Valley at the Selma Art Center in 2021, worked with Luis Valdez on this project. For recreation, Community Swim has officially wrapped up for the year, so we want to thank the Healthcare District for sponsoring that program. We had 491 different patrons enter the pool this summer, and so the community is definitely utilizing that pool space. NFL flag and cheer registration is open this week. It is open through September 12th for ages 7 to 12. Registration for the 5K color run has opened as well and will remain open until the day of the run. Shirts are only opened until October 26th. That'll be the last chance you get to get a shirt. And then the Senior Center wants to thank the Selma Healthcare District and Pastor Joe for his family cooking and serving a meal to the seniors on Tuesday, August 28th. We had chicken Alfredo, and the seniors loved it. It was. And then Animal Services, a microchip clinic will be held on August 22nd. It'll be beginning at 10 a.m. at the Selma Animal Shelter. Currently working with Director Moreno to get the word out to social media. And that's all for community services.
Couple items, Director. One is it may be 107 degrees outside. By golly, you have the best water cooler in the house right there. That puts a Stanley to shame. That's a heck of a water jug right there. Good job. Item 2, speaking of cooling centers, where are we in terms of the senior center? Are we going to talk about that later? Are we going to talk, were you going to address it tonight?
I can address it now. So I talked with city manager. We're able to operate a center for people to come in and cool down, come inside. during our business hours and up until 4:30 PM. Any day that it's over 104 or forecasted for over 104, they can come to the senior center until 4:30 PM.
Okay, what are the hours they can come to the senior center?
Hours of operation, so 8 AM to 4:30 PM.
8 to 4:30.
I have a comment. September 4th, the Morenos, along with Ruben y La Nueva Onda, Lincoln Park can be a good show, so come on out. It might be a little warm, but that's okay. We can handle it.
Still be a great event. It'll be a lot of fun. Please come out on September 4th.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Will we be getting an update on the skating ring at the next meeting? Are you getting contracts? Are you getting bids?
Yeah,
Getting all
so
that stuff?
the bids are due on August 6th, and so I'll be able to come to the next council meeting with all of those bids.
Great. All right, thank you. All right, Communications Director Moreno.
Mayor, members of the council. Sorry, my mic is a little bit low. Check, check. Mayor, members of the council. As Director Tiger mentioned, there is a lot happening in Selma, and I want to redirect folks back to the city website where they can see all of the events that are occurring. You can see this nice little image of the microchip drive that's happening on August 22nd. You can check out our events calendar that has Selma Live, like Councilmember Oseguera mentioned. All of the events are updated on the city's webpage, cityofselma.com. And also a new endeavor that is on the webpage is we're working with Selma Unified School District and Selma PD. You go down to police, you go down to e-bike information, and you're gonna see info on bike safety. It just talks about knowing your bike, knowing the classifications, helmet requirements, the rules of the road. It's just a hub of information that the community could reference if they ever have any questions about if their children's bike is what it's classified and how it's used. As the ordinance develops and gets approved, it'll live here on the website as well. But right now, we really wanted to get info out to the community about really what these bikes are. So, because some community members may not have all the information on it. So that's on our city webpage. You can find it at cityofselma.com. Lastly, I want to share a short video on our Selma PD officers working with the Boys and Girls Club on a dodgeball competition. It's a fun little video that's on social media, and here's a glimpse of it. That was a short video that kind of showed what the goal of that event was, and the Chief's arm is probably still a little bit sore. I'll let him update you on that. But it's good to see PD engage with some of the young folks there. Ruby and her team, they had a good time, and it was a good opportunity to get that on social media. A lot of folks love it and are sharing it. So it's positive news for the city. And Mayor, members of the council, that's all I have to report.
Thank you for that. If anybody has a question about e-bikes and e-bike safety, how would they respond? Could they respond on the website? If they send something?
We can add an email address probably to the bottom to say send an email, and I can connect with Chief to see who would be the contact for that. Definitely, I'll add a email link to the bottom.
I've
of
had
the
some
page.
questions
Oh,
from
yeah, for
people
sure.
about what is an e-bike, where can I use it, where can I can't, where
Yeah.
can I not use it, things
Definitely.
like that.
Yeah, I advise them to check out the website. And if there's information that's not on there, they can shoot us an email and we'll figure out how to respond to that.
Great. Thanks for your report. Police Chief Alcarez.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Just to piggyback on the e-bike conversation, we were in the process of drafting a new ordinance to deal with these e-bike users, I guess, for lack of a better term. However, currently there's legislation being quickly flown through the House that's going to address some of our concerns. So in the interest of legislation and making sure that we're not going back and forth with this ordinance, we were going to wait for legislation to become codified see what that new legislation is exactly, and then format an e-bike ordinance that can deal with this issue appropriately.
They're contemplating the adoption of some very restrictive regulations that basically treat these things for what they are, as vehicles. And so the legislation is comprehensive, what they're considering, and very, very restrictive with respect to riding an e-bike on the sidewalk, for example, that sort of thing. And they're essentially treating them as they should, as vehicles, because they're motor propelled.
Will that change the age requirement for those who can actually operate them?
So that's part of what they're considering. And part of what they're considering is also licensing of these things and requiring, the appropriate attire, helmets, all that. Just a whole slew of things. And they're being very, very restrictive, which I kind of find surprising, given the legislature's love affair with electric vehicles. So go figure. But they have two bills presently circulating in the assembly, one of which is about to make it to the floor. And they're both, like I say, very, very restrictive, far more restrictive than what we were contemplating as an ordinance.
Wow. So then we'll refer to the state law
Yeah, so
by
once
reference in our ordinances.
once they've come to their final conclusions and they've, adopted that legislation, we can then look at it to see if maybe the legislation that they bring forth is going to address our concerns and give us the ability to appropriately deal with this, with really what they are, like, as City Attorney Costanza said, they're vehicles. And if they term that as such, and that gives us the ability to deal with it, then just legislation may allow us a bigger tool to deal with this.
And there's a lot of things they're going to delegate to the city or cities or counties, as the case may be, because it's really a local matter that you've got to regulate according to what your street system looks like and that sort of thing.
But if they have to be licensed, that's a DMV issue, right? You're gonna have to get licensed for them.
There's one provision in there that requires a license, but I understand they are going to give that responsibility to you. It's kind of hard to say for certain because it hasn't made it up to the Senate yet. It's just circulating around the legislature.
What a
but
surprise. Are they gonna, and we'll pay for that locally through the license fees? Is that how we'll supposedly
well,
pay for that? The
yeah,
mandate?
Whenever they require a license, they slap you with a fee. So, hopefully they will delegate that to where it should be, to the city that it's involving and or the county or what have you. DMV has proven itself to be incapable of doing much of anything. And I think that would probably be the best way to go. And I think the current bill that's up there does exactly that.
So the city issues a license and collects the fees and keeps the fees for the increased cost in public safety at this time, but nothing has been decided yet. Are they taking public safety's input? Are they taking the police chief?
I'm certain they are.
They are.
I'm certain they are.
And in fact, the Attorney General is soliciting, from city attorneys like me. I made a comment on it. I suggested it would be appropriate to leave the licensing authority with the cities, because cities always have these bike license ordinances anyway. And it seems to me to be awfully cumbersome to require, they're talking about age 16 and above only. But it seems to me to be awfully cumbersome to require them to go to DMV and get what is the equivalent of the driver's license you have.
Well, it's sure been the Wild West. It can only be an improvement. We need some regulation there because just look at all the problems and unfortunate fatality that we had experienced here that we should never experience again. Hopefully that'll cut those down to zero.
But it's kind of surprising there aren't more. If you've ever seen these electric scooters, I mean, I can't imagine even riding one of these things because you hit a bump and
Close to the ground.
you're on the street.
Is that it, Chief Alcaraz?
Actually, Mayor, in addition, well, not, it's in a separate note, we will be working heavy traffic enforcement, also looking at e-bike users and making sure they're adhering to the rules of the road over the next couple of weeks with school starting. Again, that's where we naturally, before school starts, we ramp up our traffic enforcement. However, with the e-bike incident we had and just the e-bike concerns that the communities are having, we're going to be adding that to part of our enforcement operations over the next few weeks. So we'll have a lot more police officers driving and stopping vehicles. So for our community members, please ensure that you're adhering to the rules of the road and drive safely. And remember that kids will be walking to and from school now. So there'll be some additional foot traffic and vehicular traffic around our schools. And beyond that, my last item is we held a community forum on Thursday just to talk about anything that we talked about, flock cameras, talked about e-bikes, talk about anything our community members would like to. We'll be holding another one probably the first week of November. And again, I encourage our community members to come out and talk to us. And that's an opportunity for us to have a good organic conversation about what we're doing at the Selma Police Department to ensure the safety and quality of life of our community members. We talk about some of the technology that we currently have, talk about technologies that we're looking at, and how those technologies are become force multipliers for our labor force, our police officers, to ensure the safety of our community members. So it should be a great conversation. We were there till 9 o'clock, from 7 to 9 on Thursday, and that was just 2 or 3 people. So again, we encourage our community members to show up, ask questions, so we can have a good conversation. So,
Great.
and that's it, Mayor.
Thanks for having that, Chief. Appreciate it.
I have a question there, Chief. Who was the winner in the dodgeball?
The kids got us, so you know, the Boys and Girls Club.
Oh, my gosh.
Need more practice.
That
Chief.
looked fun. All right, Public Works Director.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. A few things to update you on. I mentioned a couple meetings ago that we had purchased some deterrent cameras from a company called Q-Star, where we're having a list of dumping and graffiti issues. Those cameras were all 3 installed yesterday.
Great.
So staff is actually cleaning up those areas that have previously dumped items there, taking care of all the graffiti, and then we're going to start monitoring those to get the still pictures to actually send to PD and code enforcement. So those were installed yesterday, so we're making good progress with that project. I'm working with the city planner, David Horn, the engineer, and Mohammed from YNH to draft a RFP of sort to put out for a contractor selection for the downtown bid grant items that would be done by downtown owners. We're working on that right now, trying to put that draft together, how we want to send it out to get some general contractors to respond so we can vet them out, make sure that they all are DIR registered and that they all understand the prevailing wage. So at least that way, when a business owner gets a grant or wants to do improvements to their building, that we already have a pre-vetted list of at least 3 contractors that, hey, these are 3 people you can call. The city's vetted them. They have the insurance requirements. They have their DIR number. They pay prevailing wage. Like you can use them or you can go out and find your own contractor. So we're working on getting that put together. Should have something done in the next couple of weeks on that. I know that you have an item on the agenda tonight for the downtown standard. So I'm sure that that will dictate somewhat how we put that together. So anyway, working on that. We installed today a project that started in actually 2019, which is the generator upgrade to the senior center backup generator, emergency generator. Quinn Caterpillar assisted us 3 years ago when I first came on board to getting compliant with San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District. The generator was a tier 3, needed to be upgraded to a tier 4. We finally received that apparatus yesterday and we delivered today and actually got it set. That apparatus should be completely functional Monday or Tuesday of next week. And actually, we're just meeting the deadline. San Joaquin Valley gave us till the 17th or the 19th of this month to get that project completed before we were fined for non-compliance. So we met the deadline and there's not going to be any fines. So we're getting that project wrapped up. We did go down a week before last and we pressure washed the entire arts center. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but wow, what a difference. It looks like a brand new building. We are still looking into getting the paint matched for the beams in the front and having staff actually in between productions go in and repaint all of those steel beams that are up the front. So we working on getting that done. We will also be pressure washing City Hall and getting City Hall cleaned well. We have our crew, we've had some complaints about the dog park, about the stickers. I went out there personally last Friday, talked to a couple of the residents that are regulars out there. They're kind of cleaning up a little bit while they're out there, but the last 2 days, yesterday and today, we've had our parks crew out there with some of our APs for probation. And they've actually spent 2 days out there cleaning up. They got everything along the fence on Nebraska and down that west wall that's on the Ringo Park side. Now we're going to start working across the back wall. We've also looked into a couple of cheap devices that are actually, I've never seen them, but they're a roller that actually picks up all of the stickers. They're about $350, so we're actually looking to purchase a couple of those and try them out and see if they help out, just for a quick roll them up and down the fence line and pick all those goat heads, as they're called. So we're still continuing to work on that and remedy that problem. We started yesterday installing, as I mentioned a moment ago, we have our new core drilling machine and allows us to core through the sidewalk to place street signs and other apparatuses to meet our city standards that have been adopted by council in the sidewalk. We started putting the crosswalk flasher in on Aarons and McCall yesterday. We're going to continue working on 6 locations that we have that I've had principals from Selma Unified for 2 years tell me we need more flashers out there. So we've procured those and they're being installed as we speak. So we'll continue working on that, try to get as much done before school goes back in, like I mentioned earlier. And then the last item that I have is that I received yesterday 2 floor plans of used modular bathroom units from Ryan at Mobile Modular. He is trying to get me some pricing for not only the used units, but for the new units. And I've heard some preliminary kind of reach in the air and grabbing numbers. And I think that with the budget that we have, what was budgeted in the parks budget, the 270 plus the 50,000 that Selma Healthcare District so graciously granted us a couple of weeks ago, I think that we're going to be able to pull off actually 2 modular buildings, one women's and one men's, 40-foot long, 12-foot wide. Once I get numbers, I can come back, so don't hold me to it, but the numbers that he was telling me for brand new units were around 100,000 per unit. So if we have 320 to play with, 200,000 for the units, I have sewer and waters already right there. We can connect those. The only other thing is to build the deck with the ADA ramp, and I think that we can pull that off. So on that item, it's just I'm receiving stuff, so I'm keeping you updated and in the loop like I mentioned I would, and I will bring more information. I have a staff report already done. I'm waiting for numbers to plug into that report for financial obligation, and I'm going to try to get that on the agenda for the next meeting on the 18th. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Councilman Avalos, do you have a comment?
Yeah, on the note for safe routes to school, situation on the corner of McCall and Nelson Boulevard, one of those stop signs coming into town on that corner right there. On the other side, it's got the flashing signs, the flashers. But in the past, when they put the other one in, it had flashers, but it doesn't have a flasher no more, because I notice some people when they're coming in, they kind of actually run that sign. They actually run that sign.
Right.
They see that, the apartments, and they just keep going,
So you're talking about the flashing stop signs.
flashing stop signs.
So like I mentioned during the sign replacement update,
That one,
once we get through the last of the 10 districts, we are going to be addressing stop signs, speed limit signs, cautionary signs. We have already had internal discussions in Public Works Department about areas with high-speed travel to four-way intersections. I can tell you Nebraska coming off of 43 is the same way.
Yeah.
So we are looking into procuring more of the flashing stop signs that have the red flashers for safety reasons. And I'm working with the city engineer on appropriate locations for those.
okay, thank you.
So, yep.
Yeah, okay, so the healthcare district, I again want to thank board members Avalos, Gallardo, and Rodriguez for voting for the $50,000 for the restrooms. That's going to be a real game changer. Timelines. I know you don't want to hear it, but if we get it on the agenda next time and everything goes really well, you know, we can get something in. What's the approximate, just something you pull out of the air?
So I can tell you from the time that I can bring that to council and you guys can give me the direction to proceed once we have numbers and understand total cost of the project. I would say probably within a couple of months.
Okay.
All the infrastructure's there. The units are already prefabricated. So I would say within 2 or 3
A lot
months.
faster than a construction job.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then we've been hearing all these stories about water companies, water utilities getting hacked. Have we heard anything from our partner at Cal Water about what they're doing?
Have not heard anything from Mr. Andrade, Mike Andrade, or from Stuart Skook about that. I have been watching that in the news, and I've seen where they've had some hacks into water distribution.
Awesome.
So
That's crazy.
yeah, so I don't know what Cal Water is doing, but I can tell you even prior to these events that are happening currently, Cal Water's policy for protecting their water system is pretty extravagant. And I only know that from the experience on the Valley View project. We opted to do a above ground bypass, and they would not allow anyone to do that because of the possibility or risk of some kind of an attack to that above ground pipe. So I know that they have pretty stringent security policy, but have not had a conversation with them recently about that.
Chief Webster, your OES calls dealing with this.
Yeah, we received some information from the Governor's Office of Emergency Services pertaining to this specifically, and that information was passed on to Cal Water's team. So they are aware and have been provided both the contact information as well as all of the documentation that has been passed down through OES.
Good to know. I mean, you wouldn't think they would target a city of 20 or of our population, but they could target anybody. They're going to try to probably go where there's least resistance. And it's good we're putting up that firewall so we're not an easy target for the.
You know, the big target, we talk about water a lot, but you need to think about your wastewater treatment facility. So I can tell you SKF, I don't know, I haven't talked to them either about this, what's happening, but they're on SCADA systems, which can be hacked. And I can tell you those wet wells only will last 11 to 15 minutes of capacity as the influent is coming in to the plant before it literally backs up in the system and starts blowing manhole covers off in your streets. And then you have raw sewage in your street. So it's also a major event for the water treatment facilities, wastewater treatment.
Got it. So our representative, Councilman Avalos, the next SKF meeting, this would be a huge topic to bring up, definitely, and let us know. Thank you for that. Okay, and with that, we are going to take our usual 5-minute break during which the public has the opportunity to talk with the department heads, and then we will come back and finish up our meeting after that. is an action item. It's the presentation and request for council direction, the draft of the Downtown Design Standards and Guidelines Resolution 2026-77. City Planner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Tonight, before you in your packet, we have provided you with a copy of the administrative draft that's been provided to us by our consultants at Alta Planning and Design to draft design standards and guidelines for our downtown business districts. This is not a formal presentation of these standards for adoption at this time. It's sort of a preliminary review of the draft standards and the guideline document that would serve as sort of a supplemental tool for the community to refer to if ultimately the council wishes to adopt standards into our zoning ordinance. So tonight we're requesting review and consideration of these standards, and our consultants are on the line to provide you with a presentation. And if you feel these are satisfactory, to guide us towards initiating the zone code text amendment process, which would allow for these standards to become part of our development requirements that the planning department would then implement in our development review process. So with that, I think I'll turn it over to Mr. Senseneg at Alta Planning and Design.
Hello, thank you, Megan, and thank you, Council, for having me today. I'm going to share my screen. I'll send the request to do so. All right. So I'll just give a quick project overview and run through the downtown design guidelines and what we heard, and then turn it back over to Megan for next steps. So I'm here to present the draft downtown design guidelines and standards. These standards build on the downtown strategic plan that was developed in 2024. In 2025, City Council, the Planning Commission, and the bid held a workshop and outline, and here you can see the outline of some of the guidance for the design standards. These include ideas like creating attractive and transparent storefronts, creating a pedestrian-friendly and visually compatible and interesting environment, preserving original materials, ensuring visual variation between buildings. To support a coordinated color palette was created to provide guidance and create a cohesive visual theme downtown. That was also part of that document. The downtown design standards and guidelines will give the city guidance on new buildings and also create a clear understanding of what is eligible and how to evaluate the proposed improvements as part of the Downtown Storefront Improvement Grant Program. And here's a quick overview of the topics the downtown design standards and guidelines cover. You can see massing and scale of buildings, facade design, specifics for ground floor design, facade renovations, colors and materials, where utilities, equipment, and refuse access and screening for that, and also some stuff on signage design. Again, today I'm going to take a high-level approach and address a few of these, but we'll take your comments on any of them. So before diving into an overview of the standards, I want to take a moment and talk about downtown Selma and what we observed. The standards are built around this understanding of place. There's a lot of great things going on with the buildings in downtown. There's a great structure to the street. Buildings are located up to the back of sidewalk. Generally, the buildings are also of high quality materials, and there is a wonderful array of facade details and charming architectural moments. There are also some not so great things that have happened over time. Some of the nice facade elements are covered up. Some buildings lack ground floor transparency, and there is a lack of cohesive shade from street trees and awnings. And to the northern end, there's a much more suburban character. You kind of lose that downtown feel. And here we can see some of those elements. And you can look at the wonderful detail on some of these buildings. There are beautiful cornice lines, recessed windows, and generally high quality materials. But as you see, some facades have been covered up with plaster, taking away from that historic character and charm. North on High Street, the composition of downtown breaks apart with a more suburban style and lack of cohesiveness and visual interest and identity. Buildings are set back more, it's harder to find the building entrances, and there's a lot more surface parking. And here we can see on the southern end of High Street, the variation in storefronts. On the older side, we see, again, this great rhythm and pattern of facades about every 30 feet. We see beautiful columns, decorative parapets. All these things create visual interest in the place. And here on 2nd Street again, we see such a wonderful storefront building, beautiful details and materials. And look at the parapet and the corner element. The bulkhead at the bottom with its little blue boxes and these absolutely stunning columns. And this is something we noticed that is actually very special in Selma. The columns provide so much variety and artistic character in the community. I mean, just look at all of these. You have some whimsy, you have Art Deco, you have some simple elegance, and even in the Art Center building, you have this giant double pyramid set of columns that really sets that building apart from the rest, but also still follows that same pattern of these beautiful columns. And to me, this is something that makes Selma special and unique from an architectural perspective. When we developed the design standards, these are the elements we were hoping to encourage and require. The design standards try to build on this foundation by requiring some of these decorative features. And in doing this, we provide a menu where you need to do at least 2 things. And by providing this menu, there's an opportunity for variety and unique expression and different ways to meet the standards while requiring a minimum level of architectural details. And one of the goals is to use these decorative features to create a distinct base, middle, and top to each building. This really sets off, how you interact with the building, how it interacts with the sky. And it's a traditional way of designing that creates a wonderful human scale to buildings. Another key standard in the document is to ensure great storefront design. A key element of that is to have functional entries that allow space for door swings. Awnings are encouraged to provide much needed shade and also bring down the scale. And storefronts are required to have transparent glazing for a majority of the facade to ensure one can see into the business and create visual interest throughout downtown. The design standards also address facade renovations. Here, one of the key goals is to retain and enhance some of those key details that are part of these wonderful buildings that I spoke of earlier. But also realizing renovation is necessary and that things like windows and storefronts likely need to be replaced with more modern and functional products. So the city has shared the draft guidelines with the bid and other stakeholders. And from the first draft submitted, we heard some things that we feel will make this a better document. And the following changes to the document are listed here. Some of them are removing some pieces, others are adding to some of the standards, And then there are also some simple clarifications where the stakeholders identified that the standards were not clear. So I'm looking forward to this discussion today and creating a downtown design standard document that suits the city and is easy to administer by your staff. And that concludes my presentation. And I guess back to you, Megan, or open to discussion. I'll stop the share. I can find my way.
So with that, I would ask for your feedback. If anybody has any questions for staff or for our consultant, we're happy to discuss.
Absolutely. Thank you for a great presentation. This has been a while in coming, and I think it's because it's taken so much feedback. This is definitely a labor of love and a lot of input from the city building owners, city residents. And I think altogether what we want to do is we want to present a beautiful downtown, and we're getting there. Take a ride down High Street on your way home tonight, and it's just so much nicer than even when these pictures were taken. You know, I mean, you look at even that building where the pretzel maker is going to go in, the sign's up now, it's been painted. It's happening. There's a critical comment in here about lack of shade and trees. The trees are coming in. They're just not mature yet, but they are growing. They're getting there. So this is a work in progress. One of the comments I would have at this point is, this is a long time coming, and I really do think we need to keep the process moving along. I see where it's going to take 3 to 6 months to kind of bake this into the ordinances. In the meantime, just wanted to clarify that the downtown storefront grant can move forward, correct? People can apply. The guidelines are clear. The colors are really clear now. One of the sticking points that I've seen on that is the fact that it has to be prevailing wage. And what you're looking at is a relatively low cost, low contract amount, requiring a contractor who has the skills to do prevailing wage. That's a tough combination. Those are kind of contrasting there. So hopefully, well, from what we heard tonight, the city is looking, according to Director Hahn, the city's looking for contractors who can, general contractors who can do prevailing wage and file certified payrolls. But the question I had is, you know, when you get someone who's like owner only, general contractor, or maybe, you know, 1 or 2 employees, would the city be able to have any kind of help in terms of instruction on how to do a certified payroll? You know, the chamber does workshops once in a while on business owners. There's one coming up for entrepreneurs, nonprofits. Could the city kind of have something educational that the city could provide, maybe even on the website? Here's how you do a certified payroll. Here's where you turn it in. Here's what you need to do in order to increase that pool of qualified contractors who aren't necessarily Harris Construction, but, you know, are good, solid people who do good, solid work and could also meet those requirements that the city has for prevailing wage and for all the reports that those entail.
DIR does have some information that is available that we can share related to that. Additionally, APWA, American Public Works Association, also has some of that. A lot of the certified payroll that we deal with the city, a lot of that is handled by our engineering firm. And so we can also look into that on if they would be able to assist us with putting on sort of a clinic for those that were interested. But there are ways that we can get information to interested people.
It's a great idea. So you want to be a downtown storefront grant contractor, come to this workshop and have it twice a year and have our contractor, our engineering contractor, help assist us putting that on, showing nuts and bolts of how to do that. Because up till now, it's just not going to happen. I mean, that money that was allocated by the council to the storefront grant program is still sitting there. No one's gone after it because it's complicated. You know, it's got to be prevailing wage, and there's a lot of red tape there. I really want to see us as a city try to facilitate that, to help people do what we have to do within the state law, but at the same time, you know, make it accessible to the folks with the buildings, because there are a lot of buildings out there that could really, really benefit from this storefront grant. And I'd really like to see that balance in the storefront grant be 0 in 12 months as opposed to 100,000, because people used it.
I also have a comment in regards to the application. Um, Simplifying the application, making sure that it's very easy and a checkoff box so that they know, okay, this is what you have to do, and check off a box, because you don't want them to fill it out, come back, and then they say, well, no, it doesn't meet the requirement. And then because you didn't do this, that we hear that over and over with, I would say probably more so like with planning. They didn't get this because a checkoff box, you know, they did, now they do it. So I think making sure that that application has that checkoff box so they know this is who you can contact. I like Director Han's recommendation that we'll have 3 contractors that are prevailing wage. This is who you can use or call them. See, that's simplifying everything. So I think that's a great start. Hopefully we can get that in place, and then we can, like the mayor stated, we can get these building owners to use this grant, because it's been sitting there, I believe now for 2 years, and it hasn't been touched.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, you know, Megan and I share, you know, similar thought process of we want stuff to be easier, understandable. And so we've been working towards that. Planning has been working towards that. And so they've done a really good job of making sure that when people come in, that they have information that they need. So it's not a back and forth all the time. And because we all agree that government shouldn't be in the way and should be there to help out.
I have a question. It would be to the gentleman that does Chris, or I don't have your last name. The question I have is, during your presentation, you spoke about the lack, or I guess the people, I guess, covering the brick or the style, the buildings, I guess what you could call is what the curb appeal was. And are you recommending that we go back to that? And if there was some kind of brick, tie that into that building and use some of the just, I'm gonna use, for the better word, crown molding, or whatever the mold, whatever, interpret that into all the buildings? Or what are we, because I imagine, listening to your conversation, it sounds great, but I imagine right now when I walk by a building, I see it's pink, or there's different building colors. So we want to integrate all these structure plans, but we also have brick because the buildings are so old and they're covered. So can you give me a little more information on what you were talking about, and how we would do that if we had a building with brick and we had it covered?
Yeah, well, I think the the 2 buildings that were in that example on Second Street, like they were originally brick, right? And then and this has happened across cities, like across the country, right? Like different over time, someone might have put up, you know, a plaster facade over some existing brick and kind
That's
of hidden.
99% of the buildings.
Yeah. Well, I mean, most of the buildings around, I think, like around downtown, there's actually only a few that have large portions blocked. But it's to really, you know, if the details are there, and that project is going through a facade renovation, or the whole building is going through a renovation, to have, a direction that if it's possible to go back and take off some of that covering and bring back the original materials, that is the preference of the city through these design standards. And of course, it gives flexibility. It's not trying to say you need to follow historic architectural guidelines or such, but it's about bringing back those details that might be there. And whether it's brick, or a lot of the facades are also stucco, but have those level of detail too. But if part of the building was covered up, it would be the preference and the design guidance to try to rehabilitate that part of the facade.
And I'm happy you're saying that because I own a building downtown. And I believe that the brick brings back with the columns that you're signifying, but my question would be what that would be entailed into the policy or the structured, where if somebody did want to revitalize their building, then they would have to follow those plans. But if somebody doesn't, they're going to stick with, they got to do what they have what they have and just do, right? Or
Right. I mean, if people aren't making improvements to their buildings, then there's no action.
they're not going to stick with the plan that we're talking about.
Right, because there's no direct, you're not requiring anybody to renovate their building, right? You're just like, if someone is going through the facade improvement program, or someone is doing a major renovation of their building on their own, or if someone is building a new building downtown, then they would need to follow these design standards.
100%.
Now,
but also if you're doing it on your own, I mean, like myself, and we're going to do it, you want to be cohesive, you want to make sure that the whole city ties in. And that's my biggest concern, that we start doing this and some people they just decide, hey, I don't have the money, I can't do it. But I like where you're going with this about the brick. I already have a vision how I'm going to build my building. And it ties into exactly what you're talking about, the columns, the brick. But I also want to, if you can elaborate a little more on the awnings that you presented to us, because what do you recommend? Do you recommend metal awnings or what do you?
Yeah,
what
I
types?
mean, the design standards don't
They don't qualify.
recommend, like, I mean, there's a cost issue to requiring metal awnings, right? And so the design standards provide flexibility of providing a wide variety of materials for awnings. Now, the city could certainly take the direction to require higher quality materials, but again, it comes at a certain cost. I would say, and the standards encourage this, but awnings that are wide and cover a good deal of the sidewalk, I think, are very beneficial in a town like Selma. One, I think they create great architectural detail. Two, they provided much needed shade in conjunction with the street trees that are being planted. So it's up to the council's discretion, of course, of how much you want to require certain materials for awnings, but I think you can have well-designed, fabric and or metal awnings.
My next question is to Megan. In regards to the awnings, are we going to have a policy of the height procedure, or are we going to have one's higher than the other? Are we gonna have a standard? If let's say we decide, hey, you're gonna do an awning, but it has to be, all need to be at this height, because what if somebody comes in and decides to put, let's say I tear the whole place of my building and I decide to put an awning. Are we gonna have a structured policy that states how high and,
I might ask Chris to weigh in on that,
Yeah.
what you see commonly in other communities for uniform height.
Yeah, I mean, the standards do have a minimum of 9 feet above the sidewalk. So there is a minimum. I don't personally see much of an issue with having awnings at different heights. I think it can help create you know, a different rhythm. And the building on the corner of Second that I showed, that has like a very high awning, right? And it fits with that building type. And then some of the storefronts that you have around, I guess it's like Third and High, have lower but very expansive awnings. And I think there's opportunities for both of those. I don't think it's necessary to have awnings at all at one height. I think what is necessary is that there's a minimum height, and that provides places to walk, and that you could have signs hanging from the awnings and stuff, and you're not inhibiting people's path of travel.
I have just a quick question in regards to that, or just a comment. But looking at our downtown and going through even High Street, Second Street, you'll notice that the buildings sizes, not every building is the same. You'll see some are higher than the others. So wouldn't the awnings be more tailored to how that building is designed? Because you could have a lower building and maybe your awnings may be a little lower if they choose to put them in, but then you have folks that might have a taller building and awnings might have to be raised a little higher because that's just, that building is built that way. It's just taller. So I'm just wondering if having to be equal, is going to be suitable, because like I'm saying, every building is different.
Yeah, correct. There is not a standard for them to be equal. There's
Okay.
just a minimum standard. They need to be at least 9 feet off the sidewalk,
Okay.
but they can be higher than that.
Got it. We also identified a theme of an arts district. How does that play into the guidelines that we're looking at tonight?
Yeah, so the way that I think that plays in is requiring these decorative features. And when I was out there a few years back working on the downtown strategy, but it wasn't until I was working on this project where I really took a close look at each building. And I have to say, those columns and those parapets that you guys have, the decorative parapets, like that's what I think is something that really creates the art district for me. Like, I mean, you guys could almost have like a little like or like a scavenger hunt where it's like find 5 different column types, and people could go out and find the column types and all of a sudden start seeing these things. But I think if new buildings and if like renovations of older buildings that if they begin to add this level of detail, I think it can provide something that's really special and unique to Selma.
Anybody from the public with a comment on the downtown design guidelines? Anybody online or on the phone with a comment?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
Thank you. Thank you for a thought-provoking presentation. Is there anything you want to leave us with, Chris, tonight as we embark on moving forward with this 3 to 6 month process to kind of finalize this, but I think as we're seeing tonight, I think it's going to be a living, breathing document 'cause things change, building standards change, downtown demographics change. And I think we want to be mindful of that so we keep it flexible. And I think this is. I think there's a lot of flexibility in this. You know, you don't necessarily have to have the same color, the same height, the same, brick. I mean, it does reflect that individuality that any arts district should have. It's kind of interesting that William Saroyan used to ride his bike to that red brick building you identify in here. He probably gained inspiration. He probably wrote a story about that Selma building. And that's pretty cool. Like, it's in keeping with the Arts District too. And hopefully we'll get more stories like that that add kind of an interesting storyline to our city as well. So this is an action item. Is there a motion to approve this item tonight?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos?
Yes.
Councilmember Segura?
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra?
Yes.
Mayor Robertson?
Yes. Okay, our item passes, and then we're gonna move on to item 5.2, which is another action item. It is asking for adoption of resolution 2026-78 for Opportunity Zone 2.0, recommendation for eligible census tract in the city of Selma. City Manager, you'll be taking this tonight?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and City Council. This item is consideration of the city's Opportunity Zone 2.0 recommendations. This program is intended to encourage long-term private investment in economically distressed areas through federal tax incentives. Since this report was prepared, the state has released its draft list of recommended census tracts. I'm pleased to report that 2 of the 3 tracts that we sent for nomination, covering much of the west side of the city from the railroad tracks west, have been identified as recommended by the state. Our 3rd tract remains eligible and can still receive public comments and letters of support during the public comment period, which runs through August 28th. Staff will continue working with our partners to submit letters of support and advocate for all 3 tracts. Tonight's action authorizes the city to continue advocating for these designations and submit supporting documentation during the state's public comment process. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
So in a nutshell, this potentially offers benefits, whether tax or otherwise, for folks who want to buy land that falls within that census tract identified as an opportunity zone.
Correct. What it allows is it allows tax benefits, federal tax benefits for improving land within an opportunity zone. So infrastructure, building, housing, commercial development, that type of thing. And so it makes it more attractive for those to come in. For instance, we have Casitas that has been approved over there. These opportunity zones, Casitas falls within one of those areas. And so if this moves forward and nominated and gets selected by the feds as an opportunity zone, then beginning January 1st, 2027, they would be eligible to start receiving those benefits once they start building something.
How does this differ from the EIFD?
EIFD is a tax increment financing mechanism. So you take the sales tax that would generally increase for putting that on there, and you use that to pay off existing potential bonds for development for infrastructure. And so used in conjunction with each other, then it would help make the area much more attractive to an investor coming in.
It's going to make the cost of improving the infrastructure, it's going to lower those costs for a developer.
Right. I mean, if they can
Potentially.
lower their, tax burden because it's within an opportunity zone. And then additionally, if EIFD can be used to pay for that infrastructure going in, then, it makes it more viable for them to put in a larger project or any type of project.
When will we know who gets put in these census tracts? What's the timeline for that?
So the public comment period ends in August 28th. And then the state will make their choices and submit them to the federal government in September. And then I believe by November or December, we should know because they're supposed to be in effect January 1st.
Can the EDC help us with this?
EDC was very instrumental in helping staff on this. They provided a lot of the educational information related to this. They helped us identify those census tracts that, you know, had the best opportunity. And so we've been working with them very collaboratively on this process.
Sounds like something that would really help to have that partnership with the Economic Development Corporation. I'm glad that city's partnering with them on this. Any other comments on this item?
I think this is a great incentive and hopefully, you know, it does go through. And, I mean, just looking at the location, like you mentioned, Las Casitas is one that's already going here. This would help either future development. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have a number of developments that are over in that area. We have Casitas, we have potentially Summer Marketplace, we have the Josan development. Additionally, you've got the 99 highway corridor down there as well, which is attractive. And so those that are recommended on there look really good and hopefully, you know, will look good to the feds when it's submitted. But we're also going to be pushing for that third zone that is eligible because that contains a large portion, specifically our downtown business district, and because we think it would be beneficial to them as well.
Right.
And on a note, this is a very good plan. This open opportunities for investors, developers. You know, it's a great actually idea tool to entice the streamline to jumpstart the not just our city but other cities around us. This is a great tool for tax revenue for cities, and this is a great opportunity to take advantage of these things. Don't, you know, and Jason, and your staff and economic development, you know, assisting you. Thank you for what you bring to the table. It's great. That's great news. You know,
We had our congressman here. Could he be of help with us since this is federal?
Yeah, once it's submitted to the federal level, then we can definitely be
Ask
working
for a
with him.
letter of support. from our
And we can reach
congressman.
out to him. We have a number of interested parties that we are reaching out to get letters of support to include on there to make sure that it's good. And the good thing about this is once if it gets classified as an opportunity zone, then it has that classification for 10 years. So, and that's another way of trying to incentivize that development as well by putting a finite term. This is the second time. The last one went in 2018, and that's good up until 2028. And some of those have been recommended again, but some of them haven't. So altogether, I want to say it was something like 500 or so that are recommended on California's list so far.
Anybody from the public with a comment about this item? Anybody online or on the phone?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
This is an action item, so is there a motion to?
make a motion.
I'll
Is there a
second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos.
Yes.
Councilmember Segura.
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes, item passes. Moving on to the final item on the regular business agenda. Item 5.3, which is also an action item. This is consideration to appoint voting delegates for the League of California Cities business meeting at the 2026 annual conference. City Manager.
Yes, thank you again, Mayor and Council. This next item is for appointment of the city's voting delegate and alternate for the League of California Cities Annual Conference. This will be held in Anaheim from September 23rd through the 25th. The delegate will represent the city during the league's annual business meeting, where member cities vote on resolutions establishing the league's legislative priorities. Staff is requesting that the council appoint one council member as the voting delegate and another council member as the alternate for the annual business meeting. This business meeting does happen on the last day of the conference on the 25th, Friday the 25th.
Bringing this back to council, do we have any council members who will actually be there for Friday, September 25th? Friday's the last day. I believe we're getting in Wednesday. We'll be there Thursday,
Getting in there.
Friday. On Friday. Who knows they're gonna be there on Friday at 1 o'clock?
Jim.
Jim, are you gonna be? Oh,
Jim.
you know you're gonna be there? You know you're gonna be there at 1 o'clock?
Oh.
Got
I've
late
never done
checkout
it, so
on Friday morning. So, you too? Okay. We'll make Jim the primary.
Yeah.
And Councilman Oseguera the secondary. Is that okay?
Fine.
Jim? Do we need to vote on that?
Just a direction
That's
and
it.
we'll make a
All those in
notation.
favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Avalos and Councilman Oseguera.
getting to the woods.
All right, moving on to our next item. That is going to be future agenda items. This is council request for future agenda items, not subject to public comment. Items require a consensus. Councilman Avalos, do you have future agenda items tonight?
I know our grants are opportunities. Is our contract up on the grants individual?
It's a year-to-year term. The current year just went on, and right now from here on, it's a month to month.
Was month to month?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I want to bring to the table, to bring maybe, another individual into the mix, maybe Townsend or whatever, to come in and other individuals that want to, share their opportunities in getting grants and for the city of Selma. You know, I want to reach out to whoever wants to come and participate, be it, for us to analyze who to choose as far as the best person in getting grants for the Sacramento. Because if this opportunity grant takes place, and I know it's going to take place, we want somebody right there at the Capitol that knows what they're doing.
Council member,
House.
we do have a RFQ out right now,
RFQ out.
and it closes on August 13th.
13.
Yeah. So we're working on that.
And that's all I gotta have.
Great, thank you. Councilman Oseguera.
I would like to put on there, a report on the spay and neuters. Cause if we're already, running out of money on that, we need to start, getting more donations or whatever. We need to, continue the program. Cause I know all of them were given up, but I don't know how many have actually done it or we can, cause we run out of money. We need to start hitting up some more businesses. Maybe the city can put in more money again.
All right.
Something. That's it.
Like I'm good with that. building on that, I'd like to make the volunteer program a little more robust at the animal shelter. I don't see why the city's excluding court mandated volunteers as long as they're nonviolent. I can't think of a better place for kids who may have made a wrong turn to get back on the path by going to the animal shelter and taking care of the animals. There are a lot of kids that grow up angry, maybe don't have friends, and their animals become their friends. And it's a great thing for kids to do. Number two, a lot of people see us coming to these council meetings with our shirts showing our solidarity, our team, that we're part of a team. And people have commented on that. I think that's having an effect. Also, I think that it's affordable. I think, some people can afford a coat and tie. Some people maybe don't have the disposable or that. I'm not saying that I'm not saying either way. I'm saying that it's being able to wear a polo, I think is a great way of identifying without going through a whole lot of additional cost. And I noticed our planning commission doesn't have polos. Can we get our planning commission polos too? Could we get all our commissions polo shirts from the city of Selma so that we show that we're all on the same team here? And we want to make sure the employees have polos too. So I just like the branding that we have here. I think it's important to have that that unity and it's it's reasonable and I think it's a good expense. Is there consensus for that?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that way, when they go to baseball games, they're identified.
Just to follow up on what volunteers, Workforce has a wonderful program for youth that they can get up to 200 hours to work and they can work anywhere. I mean, why can't we use that program to have them help us with the shelter, city, whatever? 200 hours is, for them, it's like school clothes or, spending money. And that program was brought up at one of our mixers, but we just said, oh, okay, and I've been bringing it up. I don't have many meetings, but nobody's listening. This is an opportunity to get kids they could even help us at our events, I mean, they could go out there, pick up trash, help set up, help take down, let's give them an opportunity. It's free. I mean, somebody's throwing money at us and we're just turning away and, and saying, well, we need more stuff at the shelter when, use the volunteers. That's the way it was run before, So anyways, that's all I gotta say. Sorry about that.
Councilman Trio?
Yeah, I'd like to propose put on the agenda would be the East Front Street parking, the one in front of the police station, which I know that when we spoke the last time, we were told that, all the money is exhausted gonna be on the one on High Street, but I really believe that we should put this on the agenda and actually have a real conversation. And I'm even willing to put a lot of time into getting the funds to actually rehabilitate that. Being a business owner in downtown and actually invested into this community, I strongly feel that not only my business that's down there, I think a lot of businesses are being affected. The removal of a couple of parking lots, the complaints that, I've been, just like you guys have been walking the streets, and a lot of the complaints I have are from seniors saying that they can't park in front of the Fox Drug Store, that some of the people are just taking the parking lots. And I believe that we have areas in our town right now that we could use and beautify our own selves and without costing the city money, because we don't have money. I don't know where we're getting this. We don't have money. We approved the budget $800 over. So this thing about just, whacking money everywhere. And I'm saying this, I would love to entertain a discussion to put on the agenda, the parking lot on East Front in front of the police station, because that area there is always empty, if not used by 3 or 4 cars. And I think that if we had the proper information and given out to the community and we publicized it, we would be able to use that parking lot, which would give the downtown merchants the opportunity to park in front of the Fox Drugs and anywhere else. So I'm just asking if you guys would like to put that on the agenda.
Just to clarify, council member, is that the one with the solar chart, the
Yeah,
electric charger in it?
Mhm. I think there's only one person that parks there. And he charges his car.
I do.
free. Oh, it's Jason now? No, well.
No, I fight with other people. It's whoever gets
No,
there
Bill,
first.
Bill, that's Bill's parking lot right there. He's told me it says.
Have consensus.
Sounds good. Clarifying, city manager, did the city end the fiscal year in a budget of $800 or was there a different amount?
It was a surplus of $365.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Oh, that's because we changed it. We ended up giving someone else another $500. That's
Mayor
why.
Pro Tem?
Yeah. I would like to know if there's a way we can get information. What is the process for our code enforcement officers that go out to these businesses or these locations that have weeds that are about 3 feet high? And they've been like that for a long time and nothing's happened. I just want to know why, if you go down Nebraska and Mitchell, there's a property there that's next to those Nebraska apartments. It was for sale. The sale sign is not there, so I don't know if they sold it or it's a new owner or not. But if you look at that property, it is a fire hazard, and it's been like that for years. And I'm just wondering, what is the process? Because people tell me, and I get this complaint all the time. Again, the other location is across street from the dog park. There's another empty property there with the fence that is horrible. It looks like it's fallen apart. It's never been replaced for years. And it's been like that. It's right behind that store. And that's what people are asking me is, well, they got cited for having their vehicle on their front of their, wasn't a driveway, but on their lawn in front of their home. They get cited. But then you go and see these properties and they've been like that for years. So what is the process? And if a person has a complaint, who can they complain to? Is there something on the website that they can put complaint to so that they're not always, because I can't always tell them, well, that's not my, that is, I don't represent that district, but I just send the complaints in. I'll just send them in, but I'm just saying, is there another process? What is the process? So that we know. I mean, do they get notices? I mean, are they getting a warning? What, so,
On the agenda?
yeah, definitely.
I would love that. And I would love to, if I can add on to Mayor Pro Tem Guerra's, we approved, and he brought it up, the individual brought it up when we were talking about downtown. We approved, the fire department approved the fact that we would have clear windows because it was a hazardous to our community. We have a lot of businesses right now that all their windows are covered. And I want to ask, because we approved also signage, people just putting signs up and those flags up.
Right.
What do we got to do to have our code enforcement to follow through with our policies that we've established and have approved?
Yeah, no problem. I can look into
Consensus?
that.
Sure,
Okay.
Can I make a comment on that?
go ahead.
Yeah, the fence on the property behind the store, that's already been reported to city manager, so they're taking steps to send code enforcement and take care of that.
Got a question,
They've
city
already-
manager. Got a question has there any land been donated to the city on Nebraska recently? Nebraska and Mitchell in that area, a large piece of land that's just been donated to the city that you're aware of? I haven't heard of it either. Okay, thank you for that. I just heard something through the community. All right, moving on from the future agenda items to council reports. Councilmember Trujillo.
Well, first of all, I know a lot of people are listening today because they've actually called me and, I don't have to put the I guess the elephant in the room, the business, Josie's has left or Jody's has left, my building. And I've gotten a great amount of public input, and I thank you for that. To the community of Selma, I thank you for all the information, all the input. I really appreciate that. And I want to remind you that in 2012, I invested my own money to build that restaurant because I was there since 2006 and I knew we needed a restaurant downtown. I want to commit to all the community members that I'm going to be very open and transparent as to who we bring in, because I believe as this council is doing, we're moving ahead with bringing a better community in downtown. I think that it's important to really take a visual and see who we bring into downtown. But I also think it's very important to we have an establishment in downtown that you can break bread, go to the art center and, talk. So for me, one of the key points is going to rehabilitate the building and find a right suitor for the building and to bring to this community, because I think it's very important. It brings unity to the community. And I think the business that left us, they came because I went there and I sat and told them I would love for him to, and they took the opportunity. So I thank them for coming to the community of Selma. But I also want to thank our community for all the input they've given me and all the, the strong support of saying, hey, we can do this. And that's why I love this community. So just want to thank everybody and let you guys know that in a couple of months, we'll have a new restaurant. We'll have somebody. I'm pushing for something different. And just thank you guys, so thank you guys to the public. That's it.
Avalos.
I have a few words to say. Actually, I attended the Central Valley Training Education on 22nd. And that's, that's really a great tool for not just our community, the communities around us when we brought the Central Training Valley and the partnerships to help kids that the opportunities to building trades, how to do plumbing, how to nutrition, concrete, masonry work. And these are individuals that, didn't go to college, but they had the opportunity to come here and learn a skill. And when they left, and we all, as council, we've seen these kids leave, and they left with pride and dignity. They came with very little knowledge, but when they left, they had a lot of knowledge and skills in them. And the opportunity, and also if they needed help down the road, the doors are open for them to help them. Any public, as far as resumes or anything like that, that was a great opportunity on the school part, And also at the same time, that was a busy day for Avalos. I attended the senior day when they were feeding the seniors. Pastor Joe was serving meetings for the seniors, and one of the board members there, my wife, was there because she wants to make sure all the seniors are taken care of. And I was there for a brief, and I had to run across the street. But at the same time, it was that day. It was a good day. It was people, and the seniors were happy. The building, Central Valley Trading people, graduation was great people that graduated, great kids. And also the next day I attended a Christian cafe, checked their, the opportunities of these people coming in hot weather, get a hot meal, sometimes, they're by themselves, and also coming together, communication. It's good opportunities, keep the stress down. You talk to somebody you never talked before, friends and everything. Hey, it's a great place to hang out on Wednesdays when there's nothing is going on in your life. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Osagara.
Yeah, I attended the Bethel Lutheran or Bethel Home, the one we went to. And very nice. I mean, they gave us a tour and it's very, very nice. So I really haven't been doing too much because we're getting remodeling done at our house and we're kind of living in our room. So it's been almost 3 weeks, but it's almost done, so pray for us. Um, Other than that, I just want to say, don't forget, September 4th, Selma Live becomes alive again. And the entertainment is going to be great. So if you get a chance, come on out. I don't know how hot it's going to be, but we're going to be out there probably since 7 o'clock that morning. So, but thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
I also attended the CVT cohorts 22 graduation. It was really nice. And what I really was impressed with is, well, this year, I mean, this time or this graduation, we didn't have anybody from Selma. Everybody was from out of town. But when I had to walk out, because I stayed for almost the end, but I had to leave because I had received a call. But you heard the families that said, this is a nice place. This is a really nice place. And I have to say, you know, I'm so grateful that I made that recommendation for Selma, for the city of Selma to have the graduation there at the Art Center because it showcases our city. It really does. And to hear people say that this is really nice, it tells you that they don't have that in their city, you know, and city of Selma is doing a lot of good things. So I'm very proud. I also attended the American Legion Dinner Awards. It was a really nice dinner or evening. It was nice to see that a lot of the Legion members there that are veterans did receive awards that night. So it made it very special. So, and that was pretty much it for me. Thank you.
You want to congratulate Armando Guerra, who was American Legion Legionnaire of the Year at the dinner that the Mayor Pro Tem discussed. Well earned, well respected. And you know, that just says it about the families of Selma. We're talking about that tonight. You know, it's been a tough week, couple of weeks for the Gallardo family with the loss of their beloved family member. But you really see how families get together and all the folks that grew up or maybe made Selma their adopted hometown really come together during times like this. And I just want to thank everybody who's reached out. I want to give a special thank you to the city manager and code enforcement for clearing a homeless encampment located in a very dangerous location next to the street where someone could get hurt or killed, and someone actually was killed there a few months ago. I want to say thank you to Planning Commissioner Brian Ramirez for calling my attention to this issue. Teamwork works. You know, we went through the chain of command and it got done. Thank you, City Manager, and thank you to Police Chief Alcarez and to Code Enforcement. I met with community members, neighbors again, just folks. We all live in the same city. With the city manager and the police chief to discuss a neighborhood crime issue. And progress was definitely made on that. I attended a Selma Cemetery District Board meeting. I'd like to thank all those board members for coming together, and a board doesn't get a whole lot of publicity, but if you go by there, they're putting in some niches that look really nice. You ought to drive through that cemetery. They're going to do the engraving. They're going to be doing some more landscaping. They put a pergola out there. It's really nice. I mean, that cemetery is beautiful there to honor your loved ones, and they certainly do a good job on that board. I got to speak at the Central Valley Training Center, graduation number 22, as Councilmember Avalos said. A lot of those kids, you know, they had some issues with jail time. They had some issues with school, and they're on the wrong path, and they have chosen to go on the right path. You know, I mentioned while I was talking, the guy who founded Apple, Steve Jobs, used to say, all of us are living in jail cells and the door is wide open. It's up to us whether we get up and walk out of those jail cells of bad habits in the past. And those kids took that first step. Those young people took that first step, those young men and women at that cohort. And I love that. And I'd love to see our city in the future maybe do more with the Central Valley training program, you know, our public works, because they're, you know, be a good opportunity for collaboration. Lastly, I attended a Fresno Council of Governments and Fresno County Rural Transit Agency meeting Thursday night in Fresno. as usual, Measure C is back and it's big and it's in the headlines and it's not going anywhere. So that will continue to be a topic. And finally, I do really like the branding. I want to thank Director Moreno for coming up with that with Parks and Commission member for the signage at the animal shelter. I like the branding. I like the new logo. It certainly it looks good, and I think things are turning around there as well. But that will move on to our final oral communications of the evening. At this time, any member of the public may address the city council regarding any item on the regular meeting agenda over which the council has jurisdiction. No action or discussion will be taken on any item not on the agenda. Issues raised will be referred to the city manager for review. Members of the public are asked to limit their remarks to 3 minutes. Do we have any oral communications at this time before we adjourn the meeting? Anybody online or on the phone with final oral communications?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you everyone for coming out. We'll see you at the next meeting.